Okay, back here, Art of Conversation summary. Chapter 11 is going to be the title's Taking a Sharpshooter's Aim at a Payoff Target. I think this chapter is just talking about having a specific objective in conversation. And so, as a reminder, I pause, use that as meditation, and you can time warp, space time warp by going back and forth in the comments below. Have timestamps. Um, so okay, so let me just tell you what the section titles are. How to zero in on the right target, pinpointing your target in specific terms, taking a measure of your target. How to catch facial signals, looking for telltale body movements. Listening between the lines for hidden meaning. Using the person's questions to bring out their objections. Using voice tones as emotional indicators. How to turn the thinking of others toward your target. Taking the action that assures a winning score. How to ask questions to help you decide what to do next. How to spot changing conditions. So those are the section titles. So now let's get into some details here that I highlighted. Let's see. Like if you want to get to know a person, if you set a specific target, to introduce yourself to a person and show them that you want to know the person better. Second, conversational target, to learn the general personality of the person, the major interests, and then each conversation builds on the previous one until you have a final develop a good insight of the person. So you kind of like slowly lead into deeper understanding of the other person. So it's a three-step approach. Yeah. So the first step is just introducing yourself, and the second is learn about the general personality, and the third is the major interests and hobbies. Okay. So taking a measure of your target. So how to catch facial signals. This is where social media is all screwed up. The last few decades, the internet. Um, there's no facial signals in text, so except these little emojis, which don't tell you much of it. They're just real too rough. Um, that's another reason why I'm doing these videos because I feel like because I'm not really into social media. I used to be, but then over time I realized it's kind of poisonous because it's not really. You're missing all the metaverbal information, which is so valuable, and maybe that's why Facebook has gone to Meta, I guess. But um, the problem still with, as Jaron Lanier points out in his books, one of the reasons, like 10 Reasons to Quit Social Media or something like that, um, that there's also a lot of fake, robots and fake people, or people pretending to be somebody else. Uh, that's another problem with social media. So that's why you need to be in person communications. So it's one of the reasons why I like to one of my pencils succumb to gravity. That's one of the reasons why I like to travel places instead of just kind of talk over the internet. Travel and meet people in person, building relations. Yeah, the overall facial expression. You don't have that with text messaging. A person's face often mirrors their inner thoughts and feelings. You can use this to build in a scoreboard to increase your effectiveness greatly as a conversationalist. except for actors. Somebody's acting, but that's such a huge deficit in social media, and that's why I think the world's kind of gone crazy a little bit. Uh, but so people need more face-to-face interaction. There are some. I mean, you can do work independently without having face-to-face conversations, but you need metaverbal information. It also talks about, yeah, if you move, a person's moving forward, like I move towards you, it shows I'm more interested in you, or interested in your how you're feeling. I'm interested in what you have to say, so lean forward. That's kind of what that generally means. If a person has autism, though, they probably don't understand that, but uh, and then leaning back is maybe less interested. Listening between the lines for hidden meaning, the author talks about using your senses to feel the real meaning of a person's answer. Using voice tones as emotional indicators. Again, that's what social media doesn't have. It completely fails. Where are you going to get tone out of text? You're not going to get tone out of text. You can't. You can't. And so we have all these missing tonal information, or people are having conversations by text, and you have no idea what the other person is feeling. So I'm just moving the heater in the background here. By the way, these are all OpenAI DALI images. They're all made by artificial intelligence or reinforcement learning somehow. So that's a whole other topic to talk about. But I just type in a few words like sailing, monkeys, chessboard, ladies drinking margaritas on a beach. Some guy flying up there, up in the air. Uh, I think it's like a flying lizard over here somewhere. Uh, that's interesting. Interesting art background. Okay, so yeah, the author really points out using all your senses, your eyes, not just your ears, but your eyes, looking uh, at the other person when they're talking, kind of gauge what their inner feelings are, intuition. Whereas the other person's personal needs and feelings at the moment, which you don't get out of text. Again, it's like that's one of the biggest problems with our ancestors millions of years ago did not have the internet. They didn't have social media, and so I think we're kind of screwed up right now. Hopefully that'll change for the better. Uh, but yeah, all that's missing in comments. And it'd be interesting if there was a social media where instead of people writing text, it'd just be videos, video comments. Uh, that way you have tone of voice and the facial expressions, not just the text. The author talks about two old friends meeting, and after a long time period, they how to reestablish a friendship. Do you still have the same interests? Rely heavily on your inner feelings of. Let's see. The author points out you rely heavily on your inner feelings over people sense. the person, whether the person reacts positively or not. Uh, See if we can develop new interests that we can talk about. Life is not static; it's constantly changing, and we change with it. So yeah, it's like that's it for this chapter, pretty much. Chapter 12: Building close and long-lasting friendships with conversation. I think I'm pretty horrible at conversation sometimes. with It's like, but yeah, people change over time. I mean, the reason why I say that is maybe the negative aspect of social media, the that I think where a lot of people are missing are losing the metaverbal skills, facial your facial looking at facial expressions. Because if people for like a decade or longer are just writing text messages and they forget how to look at a person's face and their facial expressions and responses, and it's like we're almost like becoming brain dead in our communications. And so when we actually meet face to face, we've forgotten how to read facial expressions. It's just kind of eerie in a sense. And so I kind of see that as a big problem with social media, and um, it's an interesting problem. But yeah, like yeah, if you're an old friend, I mean, when you talk about like old friends you haven't seen for a long time, um, how do you talk to them? If you lose your skills of metaverbal observations how to gauge emotion. I mean, I can see it how social media could have done that to me in a way. To lose my ability to see your emotional expressions and sense them. Uh, Such a crucial skill, uh, but social media kind of seems to have oppressed or suppressed that, or how do I say, people aren't are using it, and so it's like you don't use it, you lose it. So yeah, and with my makes me really realize, yeah, old friendships you can lose old friendships by not being able to have good skills at observing facial emotional expressions or bodily gestures, which are independent of language largely. So it's almost like yeah, but it's such a valuable skill set. So yeah, that's why it's good to have more face to face. I should listen to my own my own lectures of myself because you get so bogged down in doing things with your hands or doing your own little work that you forget how to talk to people or how to communicate. Uh, it's so valuable to try to be sure that you don't lose that skill. And that's a huge part of the art of conversation. I mean, you can almost remove the word art of conversation and just say the art of the human sensual interaction. I guess sense it's art of metaverbal conversation. I guess what is metaverbal conversation? Because if you had no common language, you could still gauge another. I mean, you can express and communicate feelings just through facial expression and body movement without a common language. And in some ways, I think that's more important than just just the words, the language itself, because it's probably even older than language in human history, sapien history, Homo sapien history. It's like, yeah, what languages do animals communicate in? Different birds have different songs, but I think like monkeys and chimpanzees and bonobos, they probably don't really have a language, but they have metaverbal communication as their primary communication. So let's just ask Google. Let's ask Google. Hey Google, how do monkeys communicate with each other?
On the website pbs.org, they say monkeys have evolved many ways of communicating, including visual cues, auditory calls, and even some olfactory signals. Some of their visual signals are quite beautiful, like the long, crow tongue of the emperor tamarin, signaling to her mate when she wants to offload her babies.
Interesting.
The mic's off.
I don't know how many words, so-called words that monkeys. Alexa, volume 10. Alexa, how many words do monkeys have?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Oh. Alexa, how do monkeys communicate?
Here's something I found on reference.com. Monkeys communicate through visual gestures and movements, sounds and smells. The most common form of communication amongst monkeys is the call, because the thick forest can make it difficult to see or smell other monkeys in the area.
Interesting. Speaking of monkeys, look at this. This is Yoda from Star Wars. I don't know if you're familiar with Star Wars, but if you're as old as I am, this is like one of the characters. I still have this from like 1,000 years ago. This is Yoda. It's like an wise alien, like a Zen or a monk or something. Super intelligent monk. I don't know why I still have this, but okay. Well, you take care of yourself. I'll go on to the next chapter. Maybe who knows? The sun isn't even out where I'm at still. I got up for some reason. I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do videos. I don't know why the f I decided to do that, but I guess I just want to get through this book real quickly for some reason. But yeah, only about 3 more chapters. Okay, so you take care of yourself, and I'll see you. I hope I'll see you in the next video.